I had a request to make an old-fashioned banana pudding. The recipe that I use is on the Nilla vanilla wafer box. You can't go wrong with that. But Brett, I taught Brett in the either 2nd or 3rd grade many years ago, and he has a son in college. But anyway, he requested that I make one. Well, I hope that I'm going to show you how that's easier than normal. I'm going to start off, it calls for 3/4 cup of sugar and a 1/3 cup of flour.
What kind of flour?
I'm using all-purpose. Some people would use self-rising. It doesn't matter. That's to thicken it. And a dash of salt. Now I'm going to take my whisk and I'm going to mix all of that together. Then I have already divided 3 eggs, and what it means by 3 eggs separated is you're going to separate your egg whites, and I put them in this bowl because that's what I'll use to make the meringue. And I'm going to use the yolks to make the custard for the pudding. I'm just using a fork to mix that a little bit. But to this, I'm going to add 2 cups of whole milk. In the South, we call that sweet milk. And I'm going to add those 3 egg yolks. And I'm going to whisk it because you want all of that mixed up real good. Now, the hard way that my mama made it and that I used to make it, and I think the reason so many people went to the using the condensed milk and pudding is because you used to cook the custard on the stove. And if you didn't have a double boiler, which meant a boiler with water in it that you'd bring to a boil and then another one that you could sit over that, and really you were cooking the custard from the heat of that boiling water, your pudding would scorch. And I hated doing that. But now we have microwaves. So I'm going to put this in the microwave for 2 minutes. I'll stir it when it comes back out, but in the meantime, you take a 2-quart dish. This is my Corningware. I looked at the bottom, it's 2 quarts, and you're gonna put half of the vanilla wafers on the bottom. The recipe calls for 5 bananas, and you want really ripe bananas. A lot of times you'll see bananas in the grocery store that are dark. They look like they're, if you looked on the outside, you'd think they were spoiled. But they sell those, especially at the Piggly Wiggly, in a bundle. And the reason is that's the kind you use for a banana pudding. You want them really ripe. So I have 5 that are almost to that point, and I'm going to use 2.5 of these right now, because what I'm going to do when that pudding gets ready, I'm going to pour half of it over these vanilla wafers and bananas, and then I'm going to layer another layer of vanilla wafers. So let me get half. cut out that little dark spot. And you just kind of want to cover as much of the vanilla wafers as you can. If you want to make some for a lot of company, you'll just double the recipe. Okay, now all I'm going to do right here is I'm going to take my whisk, because it hasn't started getting thick. And I want to make sure there's not any flour on the bottom. Just going to whisk it. I'm going to put it back in there for 2 more minutes. The reason I'm putting it in there at 2-minute intervals is once it starts getting thick, you want to go ahead and take it out. You don't want it too thick because your pudding will be thick. But that's the first layer right there. The first layer of wafers and bananas. I'll add half of the pudding when it gets ready. Now I'm gonna let you see me take it out this time and stir it, and then I'm thinking it's gonna take 2 to 3 more times. But after I show you this time, we'll stop the video until it's ready to pour, because I don't want to waste your time. But we have another minute. But there's probably as many different recipes for banana pudding, and they all have the same ingredients. Some may have more sugar, some may have more milk, some may have 4 eggs instead of 3, but most of them are going to taste the same or almost the same. But I have used this one since I've been cooking. And to me, Nilla vanilla wafers are the best. I know you can get other brands that are cheaper, but Harold, this is one thing that I'm going to buy the brand. And I bet you if you put you're going up and down with the phone. But I bet you if you put an off-brand vanilla wafer and a Nilla vanilla wafer on a plate, I could tell the difference. We may do that little trick. Another thing, you have to watch this, because if you cook it too long, it may boil over. Oh, this is getting thick. Look at that. That is getting thick. I think I'm going to cook it 30 more seconds, and that's going to be it. So we won't stop it. Maybe 20. I think I'm going to do 20 more seconds. And then when that comes out, I'm going to add, how much? It says a half a teaspoon of vanilla. Okay. Look at there. I would have been standing over my stove for a long time getting it that thick. Okay. Now I'm going to put half of it. Really and truly, that 4 minutes would have been fine. Depends on your microwave. But I do know this is so much easier. Now, we're just going to put another layer of vanilla wafers and another layer of bananas. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to let egg whites set just a little bit before I add the ingredients to make the meringue, because they really, I like them to be more room temperature. So I probably won't add the meringue until I come back. So if you see, you'll see when you come back, we're gonna stop this, and you'll see before I add the meringue that this is covered with bananas and another layer of pudding. So we'll be back. You can see I added the bananas and the other of the pudding. Now here's the egg whites. You're gonna beat these on high till they form a peak. All right, see the peaks? All right, now I'm going to put 1/4 of a cup of sugar. And then 1/2 of a teaspoon, this is 1/4, so I'm gonna put 2/4 of cream of tartar. And then, hey bud. Good. I'm going to take this. I'll spread it over the top. And that pudding is hot, but I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees, and I'm gonna cook it for 8 to 10 minutes. You got to watch it, because especially the peaks, these little peaks that you're making to make it look pretty, they'll brown quicker. But we'll be back when I take it out, okay? I left this in about 10 minutes, and you see what I told you about the peaks will brown quicker than the other, but it is all done, and it was so easy to do. I hope that if you've been afraid to make an old-timey banana pudding, you'll just get you a Nilla vanilla wafer box and follow it and cook it in the microwave like I did. And this banana pudding video is for you, Brett Carlisle. I hope you'll start making them, and I know you'll enjoy it. Remember to be salt and light. I'll be back soon.